chosen to have, like a lot of solo artists do, they just pick a bunch of guys, session musicians that come along and turn up and don't care about it. But to me, it's a group, always, and it comes across as a group, I think, and the group identity is very imposing and powerful and authoritative on stage. And the fact that everyone, I mean, if anyone, we have different people who have good gigs or bad gigs, but who's ever had a bad gig just gives themselves a hard time and they're inconsolable after the gig. And you wouldn't get that if you just chose a bunch of musicians and didn't care. The fact that, you know, if Dave has a bad gig, he locks himself in his room, kicking the toilet in and stuff like that. You can't bring him round. He has to sort of set himself right by playing a great gig the next time. And it's so rare. I'm sure you don't even get that in most regular bands that are together. Everyone's got such high standards and that we daren't let each other down, really.
I've been in sort of various groups before I made records and stuff, and it's literally like sort of having a group for the first time. I think a lot of it is because it's the first group Matt's had, permanent group, and the novelty
hasn't worn off yet.
No, it hasn't worn off, and it kind of rubs off on the rest of the group.
Also, it's exciting because there's never been a bassist to launch. You know, Matt's it's never been played before live, so that's interesting in its own self. You know that we haven't gone out. Matt hasn't toured before, so when we're playing the songs, it's really fresh for us to play. You know, it's interesting, as opposed to a band who you join or you go out and you tour and you tour and you tour. You know, this is like new. It's like really fresh.
You wouldn't think that these four innocent bodies could contain such sick minds, though.
Yeah, these are my guys. I love this group.
This is your captain calling. We're above the Gulf of Arabia.
One of the things about working with experienced players, certainly with experienced rhythm section, is that when you come to sort of work out new songs, everyone pretty much produces themselves, like bang on the moment, you know, rather than we don't really have to suggest too many things because people know instinctively what's going to sound good in the general big picture of the song. My idea was to be in a group with David and James, and quite independently, Matt for the Mindbomb LP called me in, and he'd already called David and James in, so we found ourselves in a group behind Matt. So it sounds very coincidental, but it's absolutely true.
On the surface, it seems quite a pessimistic record, but beneath the surface, it's the most optimistic thing I've ever done. The problem is, as well, is that you're always competing against people's nostalgia. For instance, like Soulmining is a lot of people's favourite record, and people say, you know, why don't you write songs like Uncertain Smile and This Is the Day? It's like saying to someone, you know, why don't you act like you acted 7 years ago? Go on, I liked you then, you might... And you're competing against... I mean, I know the new stuff is far superior, technically, musically, lyrically, the whole thing is better. But if a song, say This Is the Day, it really means a lot to somebody because at a certain period of their life, it meant that. And you can't overrule that. You know, nostalgia is a powerful force, you know, and you cannot compete against that.
I got too much energy to switch off my mind. But got enough to get myself organized. My heart is heavy.
I'm expressing things with strong lyrical imagery. Therefore, to translate that into the visual medium, you have to use powerful imagery. In Infected, for instance, you know, what I was basically doing, I wrote the songs about certain feelings and experiences that I've been through, and to create that, make that real, I had to use visual metaphors to express that. So I feel quite comfortable doing it. The way that I operate as a songwriter is quite different from a lot of others. I don't gain my inspiration or influence from other music. I gain it from more stuff I'm into is more sort of spiritualism and religion and philosophy. That's what I'm really interested in. And I'm using popular music as a format to express ideas from that area. That's what kind of turns me on in a way, that stuff. I love music, but I'm not a person that's got a massive record collection, and I've never really been a fan of other groups or other songwriters. I'm more interested in another area. Therefore, what I do is spend a lot of my time writing about that kind of stuff and then trying to translate it into a musical form.
Well, my adrenaline was curdling like cream as I was being led by the hand to the sound of sirens and the distant noise of some drunken jazz band. The stench of disinfecting that infected my head through the darkness of a corridor into a stranger's bed. Well, I didn't want to hurt your feelings, honey, but I couldn't suppress my own. I had to pull myself out of this nosedive by proving something to myself.
I do believe in God and human spirituality. But I think religion is actually blasphemous in that it uses God as a weapon. It uses God as an oppressive tool. And I actually believe that in the eternity of the human spirit, and that Armageddon is an inevitable thing. You know, the planet is going through a transformation process. In the East, for instance, like in China, Russia and the Islamic world, it's in a period of turmoil and transformation. But I think that it's necessary for there to be a breakdown and destruction, for there to be a rebirth. So I don't think there's anything to really fear.
This is your captain calling. We're above the Gulf of Arabia. And I can't hold up. There's no time for thinking. All hands on deck. This bird is sinking. This is your captain calling. With an urgent warning. We're above the Gulf of Arabia. Our altitude is falling. And I can't hold up. There's no time for thinking. All hands on deck. This bird is sinking.
I'd rather be European than British. I'm embarrassed that they're British because the way that British people act, a lot of them in Europe, they're vile. There's a real alcohol problem there as well. Can't handle their drink. It's the class system there. I don't like the country much, actually. There's parts of it that I really am very fond of, and I've got family there and friends there, and there's elements that I like, but I think it's an embarrassing little country. It can't forget its past.
I've come up against some misunderstandings and maybe even some resistance, and there's not really anything we can do about that, I don't think. And I don't think it's going to change our political outlook over the next few records or the tour. I don't know, I mean, Matt writes the lyrics, but I think it's such an essential part of everything he's done so far. And it's primarily what a lot of people like about the lyrics, is that he's one of the very few writers who are actually dealing with political issues head on. And I think a lot of people would, maybe even if they felt strongly inclined to protest about something, would probably use commercial considerations first, and maybe kind of veto that kind of thing, and just avoid kind of sticky subjects for the sake of selling records.
I think they've come too far now and succeeded, certainly since just sticking to their guns, and succeeded to a degree. And now we're touring, and we're basically going to. We don't expect any favours for anybody. I mean, we know we've got our work cut out, and we're going to tread the boards.